Greetings, everybody. DJ Adam01time coming to you from Virtual Highway. I got the founders with me right here. And on my left is the gorgeous Tiffany Magic. On my right is the handsome, dashing Lager Soul, right?
Yeah.
Good deal. Tell me, how did you guys get this started? In 60 seconds or less. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Lager and I have known each other since about 2007, and I had a couple of sims over in SL, and I was running 4 clubs on one of them. And Lager was one of my DJs. And we became good friends, and he spent a lot of time helping me on that sim.
Well, that is so
And then he finally told me, he says, you know, you spend about $200 a month on tiers for this sim, and you spend another $200 a month on staff. Aren't you getting tired of that yet? And he said, come and see something. And so we got into Skype, and he took me over to, I'm sure you remember it, Open Life. And we looked at Open Life, and eventually we ran around and looked at every OpenSim grid we could find out about, and sat down and talked, and we decided we thought we could do something better and cheaper and a lot better quality than what we were seeing out there. So in 2010, we started up Virtual Highway.
Wow, 2010. And so, how did you start out? Did you start out with?
And we haven't slept since.
So who did you go
We
with?
haven't slept since.
How did you find out? How did you find out what hoster that you were going to use? I mean, how did you go about looking for a new hosting person?
Well, we did everything. We didn't have anybody host us. We went right in and got our own dedicated servers and set it up from scratch. We had Adam Hellishanks. He's a good friend of ours. We knew him back when Avatar Hangout was going.
Andrew Hellishanks.
Yeah, and he came in and helped us get it all set up.
Wow. Well, that sounded like you guys really went the whole 9 yards. Do you guys still host it yourself? Is that how you're doing it now?
Our servers at first were all located in a server farm over in France.
Oh, great, great. So
and there were some lag and problems caused, latency problems, and so we, over the last, year and a half, I think it took us longer, we got everything moved over onto much larger, faster servers in Canada.
So you all remember logging in the first time as Ruth, and how did you think, and how did you feel about this?
Here in Virtual Highway?
No, just your experience of being Ruth the first time. Years ago.
Well, that would have been back in SL. Yeah. I thought it was funnier than hell. Sat and laughed.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead, Lager.
Well, I was going to say, when I first rezzed in SL, it was during one of them typhoon windstorms, and I ended up, for some unknown reason, in the middle of a wall, and just sit there not knowing what to do while people were walking by laughing at me, because I had the pink outfit on, brim hair. It didn't take it took me less than a day to get fixed up.
I fortunately had a gal that met me at the landing that was standing there. She wasn't really an official SL greeter, but she was standing there, and she goes, "Oh, hon, you look horrible, and you're walking like a duck. Come with me." And she handed me a walking animation with the sexy walk, and she took me shopping. So it wasn't long after I landed in SL that I was at least...
Well, I can definitely go with you on that. I was smart. I read everything before I came into SL, learned the viewer and everything almost, ordered all this stuff online, got in there, it was in my inventory, had no clue how to use it. So, yeah, I understand that. What do you...
You know, that's like with... I started out in there. And back then, it was all stick figures and little bubble animations above your head when you were typing.
Wow.
So I had a little bit of experience before I went Second Life. Of course, now
I had never played a computer game in my life of any kind.
You were definitely lost. So, what I'd like to know is what's going on over here. I mean, we really want to know. I mean, I said it in my show the other day, hey, you may be bringing in some new landowners that might be boosting the economy here or becoming partners. Are you allowed to talk about that, or what can you say?
Well, we're selling shares in Virtual Highway, private shares, but we don't really talk about who has purchased them or how much they've purchased. But we have several people who have invested some money into it. They want to see it grow. And we're hoping to be able to find the right people to help us make some of the improvements we'd like to see here. It's really tough because we're one of the few remaining, there are some others, we're not the only ones, but we're one of the few remaining commercial grids that is strictly OpenSim. We haven't branched off of the main platform at all. And I'm not saying that's because we're diehard OpenSim people as much as we've never had anyone on staff or involved in the grid who could branch us off the way like InWorlds has done, and some of them that have had their own programmers.
So while the rest of the world is hypergating, you don't foresee making a satellite hypergate? Let me explain something real quick. A lot of the places that are having what you call a full-fledged sim like yours, but yet will have what we call a second little virtual highway OS sim, OS grid sim, so they can at least still feel virtual highway-ish and log in and out of the other worlds. No, they can't bring their stuff in and out of here, but still, it's kind of a fad that I've seen going on. Do you foresee anything like that in the future?
What's the point of it?
Oh,
I mean, we've had virtual highway regions in OS Grid that we could teleport, log into in OS Grid, but it was still OS Grid. We certainly weren't in virtual highway.
So, yeah, you guys don't have... Yeah, go ahead, Logger.
And the thing is the permissions issue. They have supposedly fixed it, but it still hasn't been really tested. And our content creators in here, that's one of the main reasons they are in here, because they know we're not hypergrid enabled. Down the road, yes, if they get a foolproof way to do it, so you can hypergrid out and not lose your permissions, I can see it. But as it is right now with our content creators, we would have 4 or 5 that just walk.
Right.
If we even set up a hypergrid, even to our own sim.
Right now, I've been testing that myself. I go to other places where they have freebies. They're allowed to be copied, but they're still there, And I did notice that when I do take them to another sim, that they're holding their no mod stuff,
right,
and stuff like that. I do notice that, but you're talking to a guy that understands exactly what you're saying. There's so many ways to get around that, and there's so many tools in order to do it. So I myself understand that. I work out of a grid that's like yours. It's an OpenSim grid, but it's closed and it's got their own stuff. And just for that reason, they have a huge amount of content that they want to keep on that grid that's theirs. So yeah, I'm with you. I understand security, and you do it for your clients, not for you. I understand that.
Right.
We have really pushed since day one. I mean, right on the front of our webpage, it talks about that we take content protection seriously, and that we're just as passionate about protecting their content as we are about protecting the grid. And can we guarantee that nobody will ever copy-bot anything out of here? Of course not. As long as there's a computer and an internet and a hacker, people can steal anything they want. but we'll make it as difficult as possible.
Well, what happens is, a copy bot's a whole different way it works. What it does is it doesn't assign, it copies, that's a whole different, we don't even want to go there. Let's not even go there. If they want to understand what a copy bot is, get your own simulator on your own computer, get that stupid thing and play with it. You'll understand how it works. And I tell content creators right now, if it's no copy, it might not be copyable. Who knows? That's not really how it happens about no copy. I don't want to go there. I'm going to end up cutting up half of what I'm just saying anyways, because I don't like talking about unethical things.
I didn't mean to steer the conversation to copy botters. The only reason that came up is our policy has always been very firm about protecting content. And at this point in time, nobody has convinced me that if we put a hypergate on this grid, that nobody could take anything back to their own grid on their own computers, like you have in an OS grid, where you have your own regions, or on your own computer, where you have God powers. Nobody's convinced me yet that somebody with God powers can't change those permissions.
Well, I'm with you there, and that's why I agree with you, 100%.
And that's how all the stuff has gotten stolen and passed around in OpenSim, and it's not cool.
So, let me ask you something. I've been on a lot of grids where of course, you have to be involved. How do you two do it? I mean, you guys are just so cool. That's the only word. Cool, man. You all are so cool.
Well, I'm kind of resigned to it, and Logger, I had his wife take out a good life insurance policy on him, so...
No, I mean, how do you stay out of it? Because everybody's going to come. You got that daddy. Look what they did. Daddy, look what they did. How are you guys handling that? What is the secret to that?
Actually, we don't have that much of it in here. Very, very seldom.
And when we do, I just tell people, I am not going to get involved in drama between two residents. If they got a problem, they can take care of it themselves. That's not my job.
And you have to stop and think, too, Adam, that the average age in here is late 40s and up.
Very good.
So
we have an adult, mature crowd, yeah.
Wow. So I would say Virtual Highway is the in-crowd, mature crowd. That's what I'm trying to think of. Okay, now.
The thing is, we're not trying to say we have no drama, because we do. But Logger and I just don't allow ourselves to be put in the middle of it.
Yeah,
if you're in the middle and you end up having to choose a side, and that isn't going to work.
I spent a huge amount of money on a grid where the founders are so involved with everything that's going on in there that it was a mess to just leave, and because it's a no-win situation. You're right. It's a no-win situation.
You have to run it as a business. You can't run it as a playground. That's the main thing right there. Now we've been here for going on 5 years, and we stay steady. I mean, we've got people that have come in here and joined that have got res days almost the same age as I was, and they're still here.
Wow, that's very impressive.
Respect. You have to have respect for your residents.
Yeah, and one is by not being involved with them.
That's true.
We're friends, we go to the events, we have a good time at all their venues and all their functions. But yeah, if a fight breaks out, we take a few steps backward and say, handle it.
Okay, this question's for you.
Because we're not going to get in the middle of it.
Tiffany, this question's for you. And then we'll get the Logger on.
It's just like a mother with children, they get in a fight on the playground. If the mothers get involved, it's a war.
Okay, this question's for you, Tiffany. And I want to know, what do you think about fashion coming to Virtual Highway?
I couldn't answer that because I'm fashion illiterate.
You say that, but I don't have a real clear idea of exactly what it is you're referring to.
Okay,
if you're talking about big fashion shows and stuff, we don't have the people yet to attend them. Our numbers are small. We're not a large grid. And if you have someone that's wanting to come in and put on a big production, if it'll draw people in to see it from other places, it would work. But if they depend on the residents here, there aren't that many to draw from.
Well, my experience with fashion
that would go to a fashion
show. My
show.
experience with fashion is for every model you bring in, you bring 4 people to support that one model. That's all I know, and I know that because we've done it on other grids. And so I do know that's how it works. If for every one model you bring in, you're going to need to bring 4 other people in to support the model. So I think fashion, anytime you have an avatar that needs to be dressed up and look pretty, play dolls, or whatever you want to call it. Women are very good at that, and so are men. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I grew up with G.I. Joes though, and so would you be accepting if somebody said, "Hey, we'd like to bring out our own production, bring out our own models"? Do you think you guys are ready to handle that?
Well, there wouldn't be a whole lot that we would have to handle if they want to come in and do a fashion show or do a fashion production. They would be the ones putting it on, not me.
Yeah, and if they're bringing their whole setup in, they would have the open sim animations to do it. They'd have to download their animations to be able to do the catwalk.
Done it many times. I've got more animations, model animations than you'll ever know. I've been there. So, my question to you, Lager. What do you think about? I don't know. You're kind of like the rough guy. You're a great DJ, and you got your own DJ streams you sell. But do you think there could be some more stuff to make the guys look better in here? What do you think? What's your idea on that?
Oh yes. We have male attire, but we need more. We need more male clothing, different skins and hair. We've got a very good selection, but it can be improved.
It's kind of almost. I'm sorry, talked over you.
Oh, you're good to go. Hey, I want to be cutting a lot of these.
Our numbers are here we go. Our numbers are pretty much like you see in SL or anywhere else, Adam. The vast majority of the stores are women's clothing. They might have a few things for men over here in this room, but it's mostly women's clothing because women are generally the ones who spend all the money on clothes.
I'm sorry. Here comes the $400 question. Adult stuff, and I do mean XXX rated, the adult stuff that's kink, BDSM, whatever you want to call it, that stuff. I don't want to know your input on it. I want to know what Virtual Highway's input is on that.
Okay, that's an easy. I was going to say that's an easy one. If you own your own private sim, you can do anything you would like on. As far as public areas, no, they're PG and moderate. But as long as you have your own sim, you can pretty much, do what you want. We had it wasn't a child avatar. It was a girl come in here about a year ago, wanted to have like a mommy daddy deal, and she best in is that, and we told her point blank, whatever you do on your own sim is fine, but we just can't have it in public.
Well,
you jumped from BDSM to child avatars.
Well, I'll tell you, my input on all this is one thing. I look at this as a computer screen, and most people don't. I could care less. It's a pixel. That's my point of view. What you do is your pixel. As long as you don't bring in real live child porn, real life this and that. Do I think you should have child AVIs in here? I don't like them personally. I really don't care for child avatars. I think it's something weird and it makes me irky. But as long as you're not bringing in real pictures of real life people, that's the way I look at things. But hey, that's what you do on your own property. Now, I don't argue with it. I don't like tinies. I'll be honest with you right in the fact. I don't like tinies for a reason. They can make them so small I can't see them and I step on them. Not because I don't like them. I've stepped on them, I've walked into them, and everything else. And I didn't realize that they were a tiny, and I feel like a fool after I've done it, you know?
We are open to any role play, any fantasy, any aspect of these virtual worlds that people want to enjoy. We have a Gorian area. We have one club in here that's private owned. It's a BDSM club. I don't care if somebody wants to walk around naked with a collar around their neck and have their butts paddled up on that sim, but will they come into the common areas and the shopping malls and stuff that way? No. And that's, pretty much standard anywhere you go. The common areas are our purview, and we don't allow adult content in the mature and PG areas.
Well, I'll be honest with you.
Do you allow it? Well, sure. Why not?
I'll be honest with you. I've been part of the BDSM community for years, and one thing you'll know is people that are really into true BDSM and not this virtual world game stuff. We know how to be around people, and we know how to respect other people's wishes. That's part of being.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of being a fantastic dominant, and that's what it's about: is making sure the people around you feel at ease. That's how you dominate the situation: is by making people.
The thing is, Adam, I've been in that lifestyle too for 30 years, and the way it's treated in these virtual worlds is nothing compared to real life.
No, it's not, and it's all about kink and cyber. So keep an eye on. It's
all about kink and sex and guys that think that the only reason they get into it is to have a bunch of gorgeous women falling at their feet, and they have no clue what it's about. The only rough area we've ever run into here in Virtual Highway was we had a group of Gorians in here, and one man in particular was a real character, fantastic builder, but he would not keep his role play on his sim.
Yeah.
And he had 9 sims. I mean, he had a lot of area to play in, but he would come to a club event with a blues singer and start referring to the women in the ways the Gorians will, and started treating people like he was this big King Dom. And no, that doesn't cut it. Keep your role play in the role play areas.
No, what you're talking, I know the person you're talking about, and he's been chased off a couple of places, okay? So, trust me, it wasn't you. This person was, this is a chat room, by the way. And people forget this, that we're in a chat room. And other people are in this chat room with you. If you can't have respect in the chat room, then you gotta go. I don't care how much you pay to be in the chat room. You gotta go if you're rude to the other customers. You know that, and I know that. It's a chat room, any more than you look at it.
Like I say, it goes back to respect.
Cool.
Yeah, respect their beliefs, respect their desires for, why they're in a virtual world. Tell them, to enjoy themselves, do what you can to help them if there are things that you have that they need in order to get set up, but don't judge. And it's when you start judging people that you get into areas that are going to kill a grid, in my opinion.
Okay, last question. I'll let you go. This one goes to you, Logger, first. What would you do if you woke up the next day and there was no virtual highway, no virtual world?
That's a hard question. Because I've been at it so long. I'm up at 4 a.m. every morning Central Time, and I'm in here until 9 o'clock at night. Not sure, because see, I've been doing virtual world since 2006, and it's a lifestyle. You get used to it. If I didn't have one, I don't watch TV, so I guess I'd sit here and play solitaire.
Well, I know what I would do. I'd probably get a little better at my golf game. Okay, so I'd have to, but I love my computer. Obviously, you do too. Okay, Tiffany, what would you do if you woke up tomorrow and there was no virtual highway, no virtual worlds? What would you do? What would be your next mission in happiness?
I guess I would probably reignite my actual real-life social life, because it has died in the last 3 years. Be quite honest with you, Adam, I could move on. I could go, back to the activities that I was enjoying before I got into all of this. I would miss this in ways, but it would just involve refocusing on something else in my life that's can fill the space. It's just become so, we live and breathe virtual highway, and have for years now, and it's hard to think of what it would be like without it.
Okay, now, is there anything that you two would like to say to the people of Virtual Highway and the world out there of YouTube and Never Neverland? Really, is there something that you need to get off your chest?
To people of Virtual Highway, the only thing we'd have to say to them is thank you. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for coming in and enjoying what we've put together. And we welcome everybody.
Yeah, and if you've never been here before, just come in, make an avatar, and just run around and look at it. I think we're the only grid out there that's got 100 sim variable regions. It's fantastic. I mean, you can go from one corner to the other. It takes 2.45, 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
That was on a 4x4, hon. That wasn't on a 10x10. But we have flying. We have flight scripts in here now. Guys been whipping all over and on, flying airplanes. There's boating. There's sailing, surfing. Every activity that you can imagine, and when you do it on like that 100 sim bar, you got a whole lot of area to play in where you don't have a sim crossing.
Well,
and people are loving it.
That's something I have to say about you two. I'm a big fan of you all. Everything that came in here, that people brought in here, and I believe that is the reason why. You may not be the biggest one out there, might not be the most popular, but when I came in here and DJ'd, you people showed up, and you loved me, and you took care of me, and I have to say one thing. You guys, I'm a big fan of Virtual Highway, and I myself, I'm gonna be coming in and out of here all the time, bothering you. So better get used to seeing me around, okay? And
you're welcome anytime.
And trust me, people ask me, you're just biased. You like that grid better than somebody else's. I'll be honest with you. There's grids I like better than others. Actually, I like you two probably better than a lot of the other people that I've met in here, because you two have set me straight so many times. No, Adam, you can't do it that way. No, you're going to do it this way, but we love you. And then you spank me on the butt and you tell me to carry on my way.
Send you to the sandbox.
Send me to the sandbox. No, I'm not going to wear that skin with that diaper. I'm just not doing it now. Hey, you guys.
Oh, gosh.
I love you all so much. Thank you for your time.